Sun don't stop for nobody, man. That sun is gonna be up in the morning regardless of how I feel. The sun is gonna shine in the morning, and at nighttime the moon gonna be there, and you're gonna look up, these days gonna keep going by.
A lot of life is uncomfortable. A lot of this experience it's not easy. It's not. I don't care who you are. It's not easy waking up first thing in the morning. You don't always want to get up out of bed. You're signing up to have some moments where it's really uncomfortable and painful.
Acknowledging our suffering, being in touch with the pain, that's enough to say, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is not the person I want to become.
I know it's painful every time. You got to make a sacrifice, but I'm telling you, the pain of success is better than the pain of failure. And now is the time for you to make a decision on what pain you want.
Whatever your goal is, you have to get there. Even though people are going to say you can't do it, even though people are going to throw different opportunities, you know, I'm sure your friends went out 1,000,000 times to happy hour when you had to stay late.
You got skill and you got will. You got skill and you got will. Two total different things. You were born with certain things, but to get to the next level, and not just get to the next level, to stay at the next level, you gotta have will when you get to that next level.
Working hard is the cost of entry of winning.
Now is the time for you to say, I'm ready. I'm ready to take the next step.
Find out what it is you want and go after it as if your life depends on it. Why? Because it does.
Stay positive, stay focused, and most importantly, stay strong.
90% is work, but the last 10%, that's fight. Can we make that happen? Can we make that happen? Can we make that happen? I'm talking about beast mode.
I think the late, great Michael Jackson said it best. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to make that change. See, a strange thing happens when you realize that you're driving in the wrong lane. That's when you have to self-assess, hit reset or refresh, and make the choice to revise and rearrange. See, sometimes it's hard to see clearly when you're looking through the wrong lens and wearing the wrong frame. The pain, shame, and stain of failure can be crippling at times. And the rippling effects are hard to overcome when you feel like everyone expects you to be at your best at all times. That's entirely too much pressure, my friend. And too much pressure can lead to you being a lesser version of your usual phenomenal self. So I'm personally granting you permission to relax. Eliminate all worries and doubts. Take a moment to reboot, replant seeds of success, and prepare them to sprout. I get it. Your classes are overwhelming this semester. Test after test after test. And as of right now, your grades are a mess, which is the exact reason for all of your struggle, strife, and stress. But if you're in ear's reach of my voice, you're about to be blessed. This is the moment the old you meets the new you. Because I know someone who went through and overcame the exact same issue, but didn't need a tissue because this person made the choice to human up. And that's exactly what you are about to do. Break it down and add just a little more effort. Add just a little more planning. Add just a little more focus. Add just a little more time management. Add just a little more patience. Add just a little more studying. Add just a little more listening. Add just a little more discipline. She started with the woman in the mirror and asked herself, why is she struggling with her classes? She was brutally honest with herself. The answer was, she wasn't giving each class enough study time. And at that very moment, everything changed. Because she decided to make studying one of her top priorities in life and set her butt down. She pulled out a calendar and wrote, W-R-O-T-E, down how much time she would spend studying for each class each day. See, if you're struggling in your classes and you don't have a written down plan for the least amount of time you will spend studying and preparing for each class, you stop this video right now. Go get you a pencil and a planner and map a study course for your success out right now. You can come back to this exact point when you're finished. Because once you write it down, it becomes real. And that's just the beginning. Because see, my friend said writing it down was the easy part. She said the execution and follow through is what will test your heart. And when the real work starts. She said it wasn't easy. And there were times that she got off schedule. But because she had a written down course of action and she consistently followed her schedule, it really worked. Because she went from being on the brink of failing all of her classes at the midpoint of the semester to passing all of her classes with honors. So what you gonna do, bro? What you gonna do, sis? Success is yours for the taking. And if I'm not mistaken, you said your goal was to pass every class. If I'm not mistaken, you said your goal was to never again finish last. If I'm not mistaken, you said your goal was to never be broken like glass. If I'm not mistaken, you said your goal was to always be driven and never crash. This is your dream, not mine. And you said your goal was to pass every class. You said your goal was to never again finish last. You said your goal was to never be broken like glass. You said your goal was to always be driven and never ever crash. So all excuses, you throw them in the trash because it's your time to blow up and blast off, because never again will you be a cast off, because the old you is gone. You took the mask off. The sirens of panic all stopped. You turned the flash off. Lock in with me. There is absolutely no reason why you can't succeed. All you gotta do is water the seeds of success that are planted in your heart. Sometimes you may have to change the fertilizer to get a new spark, meaning make the necessary adjustments and give yourself a brand new start. You got this. This is a great day to win.
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them. When your excuses make you feel a little bit better about the fact that you didn't execute on what you needed to execute on, then they can make you feel better, but they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all.
Why does discipline equal freedom?
Because the more discipline you have in your life, the more freedom you will end up with. So if you lack the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up being a slave to disease. If you lack the discipline to work hard, save your money, you will end up a slave to finances. If you lack the discipline to manage your time correctly, you will end up with no free time. If you have self-discipline, if you have the discipline to save your money and work hard and invest your money properly, if you have the discipline to manage your time correctly and not waste a bunch of time, if you have the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up with freedom. If you want freedom in your life, you have to have discipline. Because if you're a kid right now and you're eating Doritos off your belly, I know they taste good and there's some immediate gratification, and I get that. But I'm gonna tell you, it starts right now. Throw that bag of Doritos away. Get rid of it. Go do some push-ups. Go spend $12 at the hardware store and hang up a pull-up bar in your room and start doing pull-ups. And if you can't do one pull-up, hang on that bar. And you're gonna start to get a little bit stronger. You're gonna start to get a little bit healthier. You're gonna start to get more focused. You're gonna start to become more resilient. And you're gonna start to understand the world better. And you're gonna start to progress in every aspect of your life. And you'll see that if you have that kind of discipline right now, you're gonna end up with freedom. Because you're sad, now you're gonna make a bunch of bad decisions because you're sad. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You're sad, okay. You get emotional sometimes, okay. Got it. Now, get control of your emotions and carry on with your life. And sometimes you're gonna get hit with those waves, and that's okay. No, at a certain point, you say, okay, my emotions are now leading me down the wrong path. I'm in control. I'm not gonna allow my emotions to make my decisions. They're in the calculus. I'm not saying take your emotions out of the calculus, but they have to be one component of your calculus, not the whole equation. You can't pull them out of there or they'll bite you, but you can't make them the overwhelming denominator of everything that you do, or it's gonna be problematic. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress. And worst case scenario, you figure out that you walked the wrong direction. Okay, now you can go walk in the other direction. And that's gonna be fine. But standing there lost and not doing anything is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death. Don't let that happen. I had to condition people to take action, even in the SEAL teams. Even a young SEAL leader who you would think would be by nature aggressive and an action taker, you put them in a pressure situation where there's not a ton of information and they need to make a decision, they don't want to act either. So one of the things that I would teach was that their default mode was to be aggressive. Their default mode was to take action. I would teach that. Same thing we just discussed. I wouldn't say, hey, look, that means you have to take action, but your default setting should be, I'm gonna do something. Because I'd have a young SEAL officer and there'd be some training mission and there'd be a problem in a building and there'd be a bunch of paintball flying around in there, and he wouldn't want to go solve that problem. He'd back away from that problem. And I would have to go like push him in the back and say, you see that problem over there, you gotta go solve that problem. It's not gonna go away. You gotta be aggressive. That's gotta be your default mode, is to take action and make things happen. Because most human instinct is to wait. Most human instinct is to hesitate. Most human instinct is to let things go longer and stick with the status quo, and that seems to be on the front, the lowest risk in the situation is to not do anything. It usually appears to be the lowest risk. So to train people to, I need to take risk, some level of risk, take action, because in the long run, I say 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 times, action is better than inaction.
If someone was on the extreme end of that disease of excuse and blame and all of those things, is there anything that you could do or you would advise them to do to kind of walk back from there, to get over the other side? Because I think we can all think of people in our lives, and maybe even ourselves at times, who have gotten into a chronic pattern of using excuses and blame as a form of self-defense.
Well, unfortunately, what happens a lot, and you may or may not have seen this, but I would assume you've seen this at some point in your life. People, and this is a term, there's a term, it's rock bottom, right? This is a term that we hear for someone that's addicted, someone that's an alcoholic, someone that's physically let themselves go, someone that's put themselves into a situation with their finances or their work or whatever, where they reach rock bottom. But when the excuses all go away and people can actually confront the fact that this is all because of me, and it hurts, but is also unbelievably empowering, because if these problems are because of me, then I'm capable of fixing these problems. So even though extreme ownership hurts and is painful, it's also liberating, because now you have control over your fate and over your destiny, and that is a glorious thing.
Are excuses the opposite? Excuses and blame, is that the opposite of extreme ownership?
That is the opposite of extreme ownership. Extreme ownership is, this went wrong, this failed, didn't accomplish this, and it's not the fault of my boss, it's not the fault of my girlfriend, it's not the fault of my parents, it's not the fault of the weather, it's my fault. and I'm gonna take ownership of it, and I'm gonna fix it. That's what extreme ownership is. And this is a very difficult thing to do because it hurts. Because when you look around at your life and you look around at your job and your financial situation and your relationship and your physical health, and when you look at all those things and all the problems that you may have with those things, and you say, the reason I have all those problems is because of me, that can hurt. That can sting. And a lot of times our ego rejects that and makes excuses and lies. And then we don't have to change anything. And then nothing changes. What you learn to do is, okay, I'm gonna go forward. I can't get out of this. I'm gonna go forward. I'm not gonna quit, so I'm gonna go forward. Bring it on. If I'm in the woods, which is where you are right now, you're in the woods and you don't know where to go because the wife's not there anymore, the job's not there anymore, you don't know where to go right now. So if you're in the woods and you don't know where to go, start walking. What you learn to do is, okay, I'm gonna go forward. I can't get out of this. I'm gonna go forward. I'm not gonna quit, so I'm gonna go forward. Bring it on. And I think if there's anything that you learn, it's to keep pushing through things that suck.
Can you teach that? Let's go. We're gonna jump back in the water. Let's go.
I think that's one of the few things that you learn in basic SEAL training is to shrug your shoulders and go forward. This is just something that's gonna suck and you're gonna have to push through it.
The reason people change is because of pain. The reason we grow is because we get uncomfortable and we embrace being uncomfortable. But being honest with the pain that we feel is usually the prime mover for people to do the work that is necessary to push to the edge.
Embrace the pain that you're gonna feel when you're trying to do something great. You have to understand, you have to know that with greatness comes pain.
Stop listening to the opinions of others around us that are saying, oh, you're never gonna make it. It's impossible. You can't do it. You will never make it.
Acknowledging our suffering, being in touch with the pain, that's enough to say, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is not the person I want to become.
Like, I used to sit there and look at my class and my teachers and I'm like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show all of you. You think I suck? I'm gonna be the biggest, best person on earth.
You need to immerse yourself in school. You need to go in deep. All you doing every single day is studying.
You're gonna get distracted from your goals. And all these things, arrows are gonna come at you all the time. Whatever your goal is, you have to get there. Even though people are gonna say you can't do it, even though people are gonna throw different opportunities, you know, I'm sure your friends went out 1,000,000 times to happy hour when you just stayed late.
Find out what it is you want and go after it as if your life depends on it. Why? Because it does.
Thoughts become things. Whatever you put out into the universe, you are gonna get back.
You have an opportunity to still be achieving. So get up and get on it. Because the weak will struggle. Success is reserved for those that are the strongest.
But you still got time to pass that class. You still got time to finish strong, all right?
Repeat after me. Education equals opportunity. One more time. Education equals opportunity.
School is like a privilege. Learning is a privilege. Getting your education is a privilege. Not a lot of people have that, surprisingly. I know the people in your city and in your school all have that, and it may seem normal to you at times, but it's not. You know, people wish to have education. People wish they can go to school and learn and grow as an individual. You know, it's not about just one math test that you have tomorrow. It's not about one grade. It's that if you do good on this one test, you're gonna do good on another test, and then another test, and you're gonna get an A, and that's gonna raise your GPA, and your GPA is what's gonna decide what college you're gonna get into, and then what your job will be. Like, it all adds up. You know, always try your best. Don't look at it as just a test. Don't look at it as just a class, a grade. Because anything that you want in life, you know, you're gonna have to work for. Nothing is gonna be given to you.
See, most people only ever focus on problems. All right, it's the world we live in today. We live in a world of media-fueled problems, right? You can't turn on the news without seeing problems, disasters, all the bad in this world. Now, most people focus on their problems and make them bigger than what they actually are. All right, this is where people are going wrong. If something bad happens and you make that problem even bigger and tell yourselves things like, this is always happening to me, this is never gonna get better, this is a big problem. Train your mind. Train your mind not to focus on the problem and make it bigger, but focus on the solution to solve it. Stay positive, stay focused, and most importantly, stay strong.
You know, I used to actually do my homework on a Friday, so I would enjoy the weekend. Mostly people do it on Sundays when they have to do it, but I like to just get it over with. It's so much better knowing you're done and you can have free time and you can do whatever you want than have that on your mind while having the free time. You know what I mean? It's just so much better to get it done. You'll feel so good. Start off good. Do your homework. Do the best you can do on every single test.
I know I can.
I know I can.
Be what I want to be.
Be what I want to be.
If I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be. I know I can. Be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be.
Hard work pays off. You know, the classes I used to slack on and I didn't do that great in, it showed. In the classes I worked really hard on and I tried my best, it showed. You know, it made me realize that hard work really does pay off in the end. Your results might not show and you might feel like you're failing. You might feel like you're not getting anywhere and that you won't do good, but just as long as you try your best, just as long as you give it 100%, start off strong and finish even stronger. You got this, my friend.
If I could go back and give my younger self just one piece of advice, what would it be? Never give up. If I could give anyone just one piece of advice, what would it be? Never give up. It's so sad to see so many people give up on the life they want to live just because of the need to fit in. Fit in with parents, fit in with friends, fit in with society. Too afraid to dream of how great life can be because life and others have offered plenty of examples of what can go wrong. Plenty of examples of how hard life is, how much of a struggle life is. Well, I don't buy that. I believe everyone is capable of creating the life they want. I refuse to believe we are stuck. I refuse to believe in limitation.
We are capable of anything, only if we believe that. Because with belief comes action. With belief comes possibilities. With belief, we are open to opportunities.
When we refuse to give up on our dream, when we seek to find examples of those who have achieved the life they want, when we want to learn how we can make steps forward every day, when we are open to learn more, when we are willing to work for it, when we trust our intuition and follow our hearts, when we have the courage to trust the universe and reach for the sky, well, then anything is possible.
If you believe it, you can achieve it. If you can dream
no doubt you can be it. Believe in yourself. Shakespeare said, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. See, most people fear failure so much they don't even try. Therefore, they fail by default. Achieving anything of significance in life will never be easy. But the only way you can guarantee not achieving anything is if you never try in the first place.
You do not know what is going to happen in the future. Anything can happen if you believe in yourself and are willing to learn how to make it happen. It might not happen right away. It might take you longer than expected. But if you are committed and maintain belief that in the end you will achieve your desired outcome, you will achieve your desired outcome. Never give up. Never, ever give up.
Sun don't stop for nobody, man. That sun is gonna be up in the morning regardless of how I feel. The sun is gonna shine in the morning, and at nighttime the moon gonna be there, and you're gonna look up, these days gonna keep going by. So do you let the days go by and look up and you done wasted a year doing what?
I want you to live the life you were meant to live. Not the life that was given to you. Because I made up in my mind, that's the life y'all gave me. I'm not taking that no more.
A lot of life is uncomfortable. A lot of this experience is not easy. It's not, I don't care who you are, it's not easy waking up first thing in the morning. You don't always want to get up out of bed. You're signing up to have some moments where it's really uncomfortable and painful.
What are we going to forgive right now, and what are we going to say, the buck stops here, no more, I'm not putting up with it? Because I'm tired of playing grab with yourself. McConaughy, cut the man.
Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, you're going to launch yourself out of bed like a rocket ship. You're going to move so fast, you're not going to be in that bed when that anxiety hits.
If I'm going to seek success, I've got to define what sacrifices are required in order to step into it.
And the gateway for all of us to blow up. You can't start where I am now, you got to start where I started.
I know it's painful. Every time you got to make a sacrifice, but I'm telling you, the pain of success is better than the pain of failure. And now is the time for you to make a decision on what pain you want.
I'm not content because I know where I came from and I don't ever want to go back. That means I don't want to go back to living like I once was.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
Decide that you're going to push yourself. There's greatness in you. And you've got to learn how to tune out the critics outside and the critic inside. And since I'm going to do this, I'm going to harness my will, and I'm not going to let anything stop me.
That's what I'm asking you to do. What fuels you? The reason why you're so lazy is not because you don't have the ability. You're so lazy because your dream's so small.
Failure is painful. Failure is painful. I know it's painful to wake up early in the morning when you really want to sleep. I know it's painful when you got to study when everybody else is outside playing.
In what world do we not work every day?
Working hard is the cost of entry of winning.
90% is work, but the last 10%, that's fight. Can we make that happen? Can we make that happen? Can we make that happen? I'm talking about beast mode.
Dude, you've been a repeat offender. It hadn't been paying you back. You've been regretting that choice every time you make it, and you keep frickin' making it. Cut, man. Evolve. Turn the page. No more.
I profoundly believe that you are one decision away from a different life. We make the mistake of believing that because our problems are big or because our dreams are so big, that somehow the solution to achieving those dreams or to solving those problems must be enormous too, when in truth it's the opposite.
Here's what people do. They're unhappy, you're not where you're at, so you put your time into dumb shit like 2K and Netflix and Fortnite because you're escaping your real life. Your time's not worth anything when you're unhappy. So put it into making yourself happy, which is the fucking work to get you to where you want.
Most of us have been conditioned not to take a risk. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? And I always tell them it's really simple. One word, progress. Progress equals happiness. If you keep growing, you're gonna feel alive. And if you keep growing, you're gonna have more to give. And when you're growing and giving is when life is magnificent. It doesn't matter how many statues, Oscars they give you, or Emmys, or how much money you have in the bank. Everybody's focusing on the outside world, and hell, there's a lot of things in the outside world you'll never be able to control. You can influence, but you can't control it. This, your mind, your emotions, your body, you have 100% control over what you do with these things, and that's where the game is won. You win the inner game, then you win the outer game. But a lot of people spent their life trying to win the outer game, they won, and they're miserable.
I know you've been waiting for everything to line up perfectly, and you've been waiting for the right teachers, and you've been waiting for the right school, you've been waiting for the right time. No, you're not waiting for the perfect time, you're making it the perfect time. Now is the time for you to say, I'm ready. I'm ready to take the next step. What you gonna do now that you've heard all the information? I want you to take that now, and I want you to make that some fuel, yeah. Now it's time for you to get fueled up. I want you to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want you to get sick and tired of being average. I want you to get so mad. I need you to get fueled up. I need you to get fired up.
Like, I want you to understand, like, I don't know your story. I don't know the depths of what some of you have had to deal with. But I'm here to tell you, man, you can do hard things. And as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in your heart too. And as long as you continue to understand that no feeling is final. Today, life may suck for some of you. Today, life may be amazing for some of you. But what I do know are there are mountains and there are valleys. And to realize I can only control what I can control. I can control how I treat people. I can control the things that I do with my energy and my time. And I'm going to continue to refuse to believe that I can't.
What's your book look like? What does your fucking book look like? Like your life is a book. You got a bunch of chapters in your book, but when they close that book, how good was your book? What was the ending to your book? If the ending to my book can be so amazing because of all that was done, not the money, all that was accomplished, the first to do, the man that did this, he caused the merger between this. Because of his commitment and growth to this, the communities were then given this. All of the things that can be associated with you and your existence become a part of the chapters in your book. So my drive is about my book.
I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat, because you can go 21 days, maybe 30 without eating. I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want water, because you can go about 3 days or so without it. I said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And so one of the things I want to do for you as an educator today, you don't necessarily need better skills per se. That's not what you need. But what some of you need is to go from 70% to 120%. Some of you need to go from 80% to 120%. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your daddy's not in your life. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your father's in prison. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your mom is working 2 jobs. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your grandma is raising you. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because you live in a community where education is not valued. So I don't care what you do academically, when you leave here, you can't go and get credit for getting A's. That in your neighborhood, in your community, nobody affirms you for reading at a certain level. Nobody affirms you for doing well on your ACT or your SAT. Where you come from, education is not affirmed. So even if you are a scholar, you have to keep it to yourself. You have to suppress it. So the reason why I give 120 is because your daddy's not there to give 80, and your mama's too tired to give 100, and your grandma is washed out, so she's giving 50.
And y'all do that little stuff about you gonna eat, but y'all ain't got no doggone motor. You get tired quick. You practice for 1 or 2 days, you wore out. You do a couple hours, you tired. But yet you compete against people right now, that's their lifestyle. And you think they about to let you take their lifestyle?
I don't want to do it as much as I want to eat. I don't want to do it as much as I need to drink. I want to be the best in the world as bad as I want to breathe. I want to be the Michael Jordan of education. I want to be the LeBron James of education. And I ask you the question. I ask you the question today, are you giving 120? I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat. I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want water. I said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
Like I told my professor, what happens if I fail? He said, what happens if you pass? I said, but what happens if I don't get it? What happens if I put in all these years and it don't work out? He said, but what happens if you put in all these years and you get it? You got skill and you got will. You got skill and you got will. Two total different things. You were born with certain things, but to get to the next level, and not just get to the next level, to stay at the next level, you gotta have will when you get to that next level. So when you play, you have to compete. When you have an opportunity, why would you give 80% when you have an opportunity? Somebody answer that for me. Y'all talk. Why would you give 80%, 70%? Why wouldn't you always give 120%? For real, you might get it, but right now what? Oh, I can't hear y'all. You may get it, but right now what? You don't have it. You have nothing to fear. Guys, you already overcame all kind of stuff. Because a lot of you don't see that what's gonna take you to that next level that's gonna separate you from everybody else, because you gotta have something that separates you. What's gonna separate you from everybody else? Right? I don't know what that is for you, but just talk about it. When you hear my videos, one of the things you notice that separates me from everybody else, I don't do what in any of my videos? I don't curse, and you've never seen me cuss before. You've never seen me drink before. You've never seen me smoke. I'm not against drinking and smoking, but my brand is I don't drink, I don't smoke. What are you gonna do to separate yourself? Like, I do things to separate myself from everybody else. The passion that I have when I speak, the grind that I have when I do what I do. What are you going to do to separate yourself? People you're not even gonna be hanging out with. All I wanna hear is E. They grinding like they ain't never grind before. Johnny, I wanna hear they out there handling that rock like E. They monsters, E. They like freaks out here, E. Like, they going hard, E. That's all I want. What's some more stuff that's keeping you from doing what you're supposed to do? I love it. You have an opportunity of a lifetime. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is, when you understand you have an opportunity, you play a little different. I wasn't successful because of who I was. Like, and a lot of y'all, for real, here's what you gotta stop doing. You hold people to the fire when they don't do what they're supposed to do, but you give yourself a pass. Like, and you gotta stop doing that. Like, I see in this generation, people will let their kids get away with stuff that I know you wouldn't let nobody else's kid get away with. But sometimes when you're so close to something, you don't treat it you don't treat it real. Like, you give it a pass because it's your baby. But if somebody else was to get on your couch and do that, you'd have a fit. Or somebody. So what I had to start doing was saying, you gotta stop holding other people to the fire, you gotta hold yourself to the fire. And I realized that without a schedule, I was the one that was messing up my life. And I realized I needed a schedule because I wasn't the brand
to get me where I wanted to go, if that makes sense. Like that version of Eric Thomas would never make me a 1%er. I realized that. So when I sat down with Warren Buffett, 3 things that blew my mind. I never really realized where his money came from. So the first thing I did was I was like, yo, his money comes from investments. Well, what happened was when he was 12 years old, his father gave him his first $1,000 and let him make an investment. So I realized he's not getting up early in the morning just to get up in the morning. What he says he does is he reads. He doesn't just read books. That's not what he does. He reads financial reports. So this dude was telling me he read a financial report of General Motors in like 1964. And I'm thinking like, why would you be reading? It's 2014. He was reading the document, the financial, listen to me. He's a financial genius. What was he reading? Finances. For real, y'all be coming up to me like, yo, E, what you reading? Why? You trying to be a motivational speaker? You trying to be the next Martin Luther King? You trying to be the next Mother Teresa? Why are you trying to read what I'm reading? Like, what are you trying, like you trying to impress somebody? Why are you reading what I'm trying to read if you're not trying to be me? He was not reading Mother Teresa. He wasn't reading about leaders. He was reading a financial report from 1964 General Motors. Why? Because General Motors had one of their successful financial years in 1964. And so he was looking for the clues of what were they doing specifically in 1964 that can be duplicated in 2014. That's what he was looking for. So a lot of you getting up early because ET get up early, but you getting up early for no reason. You just up early. So be careful that your routine is pointing to where you're trying to get to and you're not wasting time. So I'm looking at Warren Buffett. He says he reads 6 hours a day. He reads financial documents 6 hours a day. That's the first thing he does, 7 days a week, 6 hours. But watch this, you go, ooh. When you read something for 6 hours times 7, that's 42 hours, right? That's 42 hours a week, right? I don't know how many hours that is a year, but guess why he makes the best financial decisions? Because all he's doing is financial stuff. That's, he putting in 10,000, 20,000, 40,000, 50,000 hours. If you're gifted in 3 areas, then that means you're gonna have to get 30,000 hours just to be like basically a master. But what if you did one thing and got 30 hours of information in just that one area? You guys got 10,000 in 3 different areas. So while you got 10,000, I got 40, 50,000 in one area. What? Speaking. And guess what the disc is? The disc is still going further into personalities. It's still the same exact thing. So I'm putting more hours on top. So the routine is important because eventually it's going to make you a beast in one particular area. That's why you need a routine, because you can't trust yourself not to get off track. That routine is going to keep you on track and make you a 1%er.
Everybody's feeling the same thing. There's no hope. It's all outside of my control. There's nothing I can do. These are the common things. It's not fair. These are the common things that people feel.
Your life is a series of lessons you've learned. Now, if you just dwell on the failures, like that's not healthy. It's not smart and it's not empowering. What you got to do is look at those failures and go, well, now you know what not to do.
So being a victim is being completely powerless and taking away all control you might have, which ultimately doesn't make you feel safe, which ultimately doesn't give you happiness, which ultimately doesn't give you prosperity and, fill in the blank. And so what does being a victim get you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And first off, life is not fair. Bad things happen to good people. Perfect plans suddenly, in the blink of an eye, can be ripped apart and just be totally thrown off course. And it is this, so many people, and the victim mindset is a mindset, well, that's not fair. Well, you're right, it's not. But guess what? Sitting there and focusing all your blame and time on the fact that your perfect plan or something happened or your world got thrown upside down accomplishes nothing. Nothing.
Life is filled with so many different kinds of experiences that are available. And that's one of the things that you sort of open up to when you relax. When you relax and, you know, you don't worry about what you look like, you don't worry about what you sound like, you don't worry about how people feel about you, because you've thought about all these different things on your own, and you've kind of corrected as many things as you can correct given that time period. But you feel comfortable that you're on a good path. You know, then you sort of can entertain ideas that maybe you wouldn't if you were insecure or more insecure. You know, I think you have to be insecure if you're finite.
A victim mentality limits your success in this life. You know, you will stay wherever you are and you will achieve the limit of what you believe, which if you believe you're never going to get out of the neighborhood you grew up in, you're right, you will not. And if you're waiting for somebody else to save you, it most likely is not going to happen. And actually what I have come to find over time is even if someone comes to save you, if you don't believe in yourself, we can't drag anybody off the X, because guess what? They will climb right back onto it. It's only an individual that believes in themselves. Greatness lies in every single individual. And the only thing stopping an individual from being successful is them. You know, it doesn't guarantee it. I will say that. But I tell you what will guarantee you never moving forward is if you buy into that victim mindset and just sit on that X forever, waiting for some miraculous thing to come along and save you. Because if you don't start that process, it'll never happen.
When you're a victim, you're in zero control. Like, you have zero control. And we can go, you know, from the simplest thing of like, you're a victim and you want the government to take care of it. Well, what if the government fails? Well, now you're screwed, right? So you need to be independent in that space. You're being abused, you're a victim. Yes, I understand that there should be sympathy inside of being a victim for something that happened, but that's the key, something that happened. If it's happening, we're talking a completely different thing here, and I want to make sure that's clear. If you're currently being abused or you're currently being, you know, victimized, then please seek help. And it's not being a victim to ask for help. What's really, to me, being a victim is you're past it. It's happened, and now you just keep replaying that in your head over and over and over again.
You know, people that follow me know I talk about the X. The X is really a military term that stems from a point of attack. It can be an ambush site. It can be a target you're trying to take down. The flip side of the coin, if you get attacked, you are on the X. And the victim mindset, if you say to yourself, I am not able to do something because race, creed, color, gender, you know, size, you know, where I came from, socioeconomic status, whatever it is, any of those things pin you to the X. They give you an excuse to sit on the X, because you're able to say, well, I can't do this because I'm a specific color, or I can't do this because of my gender, I can't do this because of my gender persuasion. None of that really matters. And there's millions and millions of people. It matters, but it doesn't matter, because the reality is it doesn't matter for your ability to drive forward out of a bad situation. And usually when there's a bad situation, there's a natural tendency to focus inward on the pain and the misery and all these things. But the reality, it's on you to take that first step. And that became the genesis of this idea that I now speak on, getting off the X. And it is a victor mentality. It is a mentality that I don't care what happens in my life, I'm going to continue to drive forward. I'm going to figure out a way.
A lot of people are just running from discomfort. They're running from it. They're just avoiding it. It's so easy to. And like, if you get distracted for a second, you're like, let me check my phone. You just start going through your phone and looking at, and you're just distracting yourself from the tiniest frustration of boredom. Just the little, we don't get bored anymore. Or if we get bored for these tiny amounts of time, then you get distracted. So your distraction is eliminating your boredom. But the problem with that is, like, there's certain thoughts that only come to you when you're thinking, when you don't have any input coming in. When we're constantly looking at our phones, the only input you're getting is input from other people. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes you get good stuff out of that. But it's like a diet of only fruit, you know, like you need some protein. Yeah. Like you need to get some other things in your diet, you know. And I think having discomfort in your diet, like having it as a regular part of your life, it minimizes the amount of other kinds of that you create.
I didn't know any of this stuff when I was a kid until I was about 16, 17. I started like reading encyclopedias on the human body and mind. But even then we had no clue. And now like all this science is coming out about energy and positive and negative and chemical hormones being stored in the brain and like memories actually releasing endorphins. Like all this stuff's happening and it's like, wow, cool. Like the monks had something. Like, you know, it's like we're like going and proving these very, 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 very ancient rituals to be scientifically like accurate. And who knew where they got their inspiration? But regardless, we're now proving that this rewriting of the story, this telling, you know, yourself and believing something different literally changes the chemical makeup in your body, which releases different hormones and different endorphins, which then allows you to have a different, you know, complete outlook. And not just that, but, you know, we're central beings, so we sense other things from other human beings, right? Like we use the old adage of dogs, right? Like if you're scared of a dog and you go up to it, it's gonna know you're scared, and so it's gonna bark at you more or whatever. Human beings are the same way, right? If you're unconfident, you don't feel sexy, and you don't feel this way, that's how you're gonna come across. Not because that's what you really maybe are with skin and, you know, skin and all that, but that's the chemicals that you're releasing. It's okay to have had something happen to you. Like, you're not a bad person because of that. And it sounds crazy unless somebody's watching this who's gone through something. You know the guilt you feel and the things that you carry that you haven't told anyone because you're ashamed or all these things. That's okay. But continuing to allow it to affect you, that's on you. That's not on the abuser. That's not on the situation. That's on you. It's a choice you have to make of, I am no longer going to let this happen.
When you decide to get up and drive forward, you know, I think action cures all is what you said. I say movement is life. Movement is life. Movement creates momentum. And the great thing about momentum is even if you step into another ambush or into another hole, guess what? Movement enables you to, you know, hopefully knock out of it. And with that movement, you take action. When you get off that X and drive forward, number one, it creates hope.
You get so much more benefit out of a struggle that you choose to embark in versus a struggle that life throws upon you. And I think the more you choose to embark in these struggles, these especially physical and mental struggles, because I consider both martial arts, yoga, and actually even trail running, I consider the mental struggles as much as physical struggles. Like, because I could stop anytime I want. I'm halfway up the hill, I can go this. I'm walking the rest of the way. Yep. Call my dog over, put him on the leash. I'm like, we're walking, buddy. You know? Yeah. But, or you could say, no, this is what I'm doing today. I have a very clear plan in front of me. My plan is we're doing 4 miles today. This is where we start. This is where we end. This is what we're doing.
If you do tomorrow what you did today, you will get tomorrow what you got today.
So you have a choice to know which step you're going to take today.
You see, how you do anything is how you do everything.
I may be hurting, I may have pains, I may have been down, but I am not out. I am getting out of this hole and into my destiny.
99% of people are not willing to do what it takes to make their dreams come true. And that's just real. At the center of bringing any dream into fruition is self-discipline. It's getting command of your mind to be able to choose actions that are in your own best interest.
So how do we get better? Every day, every hour. How do we find those resources? How do we find the energy, the knowledge to do that?
Long days of classes, long nights of studying, projects, case studies, pop quizzes, and final exams, but you keep pushing and pushing because you know one day, all of that hard work and studying will pay off.
It's not about how much you sleep, it's what you do while you're awake. Every minute has to count. Every minute has to count if you want so much, because you just don't have as many of them as you think.
But you've got to decide that I'm going to be fearless. I refuse to be denied, and I'm going to go all out. I'm going to be relentless. I don't care how many no's I encounter. You can't make a basket unless you shoot the ball. You can't hit a home run unless you take a swing at it. Most people won't even take a swing.
You leave one thing and you go to the next thing. You got the backpack mentality. You trying to pack up. You trying to do new stuff when you haven't finished doing what you were supposed to do before. I don't know what time you got to get up. I don't know what time you got to go to bed. I'm not 100% sure. But what I'm telling you is you got to want it as bad as you want to breathe. And you can't just talk about it, right? You got to make it happen.
It's about, can you do better than you did yesterday? I'm talking to that person that keeps failing the mission. I'm talking to that person that just wants to beat their self of yesterday. Get up. You got a day to conquer.
There was not a single night I went to sleep feeling pressure. I just always knew I could do it.
Are you giving 120? Or are you giving 70 because of what's going on at your school? Or what's going on between you and your principal? Or what's going on between you and your peers? No, listen to me. As we move forward, I must ask you the question, how bad do you want it? And so we're dealing with real life, and I get that. But we gotta want this as bad as we wanna breathe. I wanna get you back to 120 because we need you at 120. Back to that place where not only you love education, but you're coming in with 120%.
Your life may not look anything like you thought it would look right now, but you have an opportunity today to change that. And every decision you make is either bringing you to your destiny or taking you from your destiny. Control, Alt, delete. Control yourself, alter your thinking, and delete negativity, period.
But in order for you to get it, it's blood, it's sweat, it's tears. You gotta put in hours. I'm hitting the book every hour that I have. I'm putting it into that book. And it's not just about having it. It's about saying, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to make it work.
There is a switch inside of every one of us. And at any moment in life, you can turn that switch from surviving to winning. Today, I want you to make a decision to flip the switch inside of you. See, it's not about the blow that you took. It has everything to do with what you build after the blow.
I don't care who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing. Get to it. Get to it.
I wasn't in school to learn. And many of you, you're not in life to learn. The reality is if you give up too soon, if you don't learn all the lessons that you're supposed to learn, you're gonna keep going in circles in life and you will never get to where you're supposed to get to in life. You cannot overcome until you become. You can't do better academically until you become a student, until you're the first one in class, until you read every chapter you're supposed to read before you get to class. That's right, you did the proper preparation before you got to class, all right?
Can you do better than you did yesterday? That's all I want to ask you. Can you do better? There are going to be days when you're going to be tired of being you. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to talk to nobody. You don't want to think. And you got two options. You can give up or get up. You can have journals full of dreams, but if you don't count up the cost of what it's going to take, and if you are not willing to pay that price, you cannot have your future. Forget waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You may have to lose sleep so that you can accomplish what it is that you've been destined to accomplish. To get to this next level is inside of you. There's always another level. And if all we're thinking about is the goal and not valuing the journey and the growth that happens along the way, then we'll miss the moment. And when we miss the value in a moment, we lack momentum and we stay stagnant, seated in reverse.
We're not waiting for it to come to us. We're going to get it. You can do whatever you want to do, be whatever you want to be, but you can't do it talking. You can't do it saying, making excuses. I'm sick, well, I had a bad day. Listen to me, baby. Opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. It's not over till I get over, not over till I get what I want. Door can't open today, look out. I'm gonna come back and take the hinges off. If you wanna make it happen, it's you. That you've got to take personal responsibility to make it happen. That you have got to own what it is that you want to do. If it's just to take yourself to another level, it's you. You've got to make that happen. We can point out many things that can make it inconvenient or can slow us down, but ultimately, it's on us.